You're listening to Tucson Tech Talk with your host, Aaron Moss, on Tucson Business RadioX.
Welcome, everyone, to this episode of Tucson Tech Talk, the show where we talk about technology in life and in business. We are broadcasting from the Tucson Business RadioX studio in the Stewart Title Building on Broadway. And we want to welcome all of our listeners on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, and TuneIn. And we encourage you to listen every second Monday of the month. Questions and comments are always appreciated. My name is Aaron Moss, your host. I'm the owner of Computer Doctor of Tucson. The theme today is technology and online identity and security. With us in the studio, we have two participants, one of which has been unfortunately, she has been a victim of some of these things, but we're going to help her out today because some of the best ways to learn about these things is to sometimes make the mistake and then we learn from the mistake. But no talking bad about her. She's a personal friend of mine. Okay. She's a great lady. She's been in the beauty salon spa industry for over 30 years, and she's always bringing the latest trends in the industry. She's actually been my personal barber for the past 3 or 4 years. Okay. And so her business is the VG Beauty Lounge, which offers services from head to toe in one place at an affordable price in a relaxing atmosphere. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Victoria Gonzalez to the program.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Is there anybody you want to say a quick shout out to while you're...
Well, my girls at the salon.
Okay. Yes. Their names? Or
Rocio, Marian, Lupita, Natasha.
Okay. Very good. Yes. And also we have here in our studio an electrician who's an electrician from the 90s. He worked for AT&T installing and troubleshooting data cable lines for residences and businesses using the popular website and app nextdoor.com. His handle is Rod the Electrician. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, I prefer Electric Rod.
Yes.
Yeah, we thought that was a cool name. And just like any good tradesman, he has a secondary skill of being a musician, producer, jingle writing, karaoke maker. Okay, and he's known in the music world as Con Flo Ma.
Hello.
Everyone, please welcome Rod Brown.
Hello.
And tell us, well, actually, first of all, do you want to shout out to your family and kids?
Hello, family and kids.
Okay.
I got security issues myself, so I say, hey, hello, family and kids. That's about it.
Well, Rod is actually very, very smart. He and I met just a few months ago, and just when we were loosely talking, I realized how much of what a wealth of knowledge he is, and I wanted to have him on the show. And just so happens that he's an electrician. So if you need any electrical work done in the Tucson area, you can always, we're going to be posting some information about him on the show notes. And also if you need any type of jingle type work, he would be the excellent person to talk to. So some of the fans of the show, we were actually looking at ways that we can protect our identity online. And we actually did another show some time ago. It was probably about 4 episodes ago, where we talked about, we had generated a list of 80 ways. That is, I said 80 ways to protect your identity online. And I used to say that there was nobody else that had 80 ways. You can find articles online that says 10 ways to protect your identity, 20 ways to protect your identity. Nobody has 80 ways, but I have to stand corrected because I did find a book by an author by the name of Jenny Rogers. It's Jeni Rogers, and she wrote a book of 200 ways to protect your identity online. Okay, and I actually bought the book and I actually started perusing it just the other day. But a lot of the principles are the same, but she goes into more specific applications. For example, when we say that, back me up on this, Rod, but when we say verify who you are talking to on the phone, okay, that is a principle that we always want to make sure that we're keeping in the 4 steps. So why do we always want to verify who we're talking to on the phone? Why do you think?
because we can give our personal information to the bad person, to the wrong person.
That's right. Now, the funny thing is that there's lots of ways that people can hide or fudge who they're calling from. They can fudge the caller ID and make it look like your bank is calling you. Okay. They can make it look like it's your father or your mother. They can call up from your father's phone, and say, listen, there's this old man that I found laying in the street. Do you know him? Oh, my goodness, you're calling from my father's phone. Oh, my goodness, is he okay? Yeah, listen, we're going to take him over to the hospital. Can you send us $100 for gas, Yes, absolutely. See, now they've got you. And not only that, once they have one key, they can always use that key to open up other doors. Okay, so we don't want victims, right? So what Jenny Rogers went into this book, as far as I read, she went into more of the specific applications of how that, because you can even be staying at a hotel and someone can pretend that they're the front desk calling you. Hey, there's something wrong with your credit card. Do you have another card that you can use? And now you're going through your wallet, pulling out, and now you're reading over the card because you've already been duped. Okay, you think that you're in a legitimate hotel. Now you're getting this phone call from an in-house phone. It could just be somebody in the lobby, right? So there's all kinds of different ways that people can get a hold of your identity. Now, we're not going to go too much into your case because it's still active and there's still things going on. But also having good security, like even just good security cameras at your house. Now, there was an incident right at your salon. There was just some random person just tearing up stuff in front of her salon.
Wow!
And we don't know who this person was, but we were able to get a facial, a frontal, and a side, and a side. So
on security cameras.
Yeah, on the security cameras. We were able to but the nice thing about it is she had about 4 security cameras going opposite different angles, all in front of the thing. So we were able to see it from different angles,
right? And
that's how we were able to get those
the footage,
the footage and those headshots.
Where were you able to get those security cameras? When you got the security cameras put in, were you able to see those cameras before you put them in?
I put them in.
Right. But can you see in other words, can you see the quality of the camera before you put them in? Or you just kind of get the security camera systems?
Well, you have to buy them with the specs.
Exactly.
So you can get the security cameras are measured in specs as far the same way that televisions would be. So
resolution.
The resolution would be 720p, 1080p, and now they're getting into 2K, 4K. And I even heard some weird things that there's some broadcasters that are broadcasting in 8K. To me, that's just ridiculous. But
that is very important because, unfortunately, 30 years ago, it happened to me also, identity theft. And this person went and wrote a check to my bank account and pretended to be me and wrote a check for $7,000, deposited into the account, and asked the teller, when can I get the money from this check? And say, 3 days, 4 days. I say, how much is available in the account? And she will draw that money. And all of that was in camera. All of that was in camera, but it was just a video. The video was really bad at the bank.
The bank cameras were really bad.
Really bad. So it was very blurry, really.
You see,
it was horrible.
I don't understand that.
Exactly. Me neither.
The place where you would want the footage the most, you would expect that high quality.
And they had the worst quality. I remember there was a guy, in Chicago, they had a gas station attendant, and they, by the 4 cameras on either side. But the criminal is a blur. So I feel like you could probably have a guy standing there with like an iPhone and just pay him. And then a guy named Willie, because that picture would be cleaner. I mean, we've seen on the media, news events of things of people doing stuff, or the police might release a video and it's like really grainy. But in today's technology, there's really no good reason to have
those cameras, those videos.
but
to
then
have
the ones that are as
quality.
decent as an iPhone or something like that, now you're paying thousands. So there's got to be a balance in this whole thing. And also, like he said earlier, you can't just give your information away. When I walked into the studio, there's a guy who asked me what my name was. Well, that would make sense. I could have said, "Oh, you know what? Don't worry about it." And then a lady, it obviously, well, what's your name, sir? Don't worry about it. Well, you can see. Don't worry about that either.
But here's the thing. We should have. Well, let me ask you. Do you believe that your level of security awareness is balanced? I mean, do you think it's overboard? Do you think it's too much, where you can't even say your name? Because even if I don't have your name, okay, there's all kinds of things. So even if you're trying to like trick the system, you still have to be very, very well educated. Okay, I know because I use my real name. Okay, but I know that there are certain things that I will not share. When people call me on my phone, I say, "Computer Doctor of Tucson, Aaron speaking." I'm not afraid to say who I am, or even to pick up the phone. There are some people that are afraid to pick up the phone. Maybe we'll talk about that in a moment. But the key here is balance. So we shouldn't, because we have a lot of business people that listen to the show. So if you're in business, you can't really not say your name.
Exactly.
You have to put yourself out there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you could use an alias. Okay, we announce you as Rod, but Rod is not your real name. Okay, but it's your nickname, and that's perfectly fine. We'll call you by your nickname on this phone, on this show. But just because people know your name, there's not too much that people can just know just with your name and just with perhaps maybe your picture, because that's something else. How dangerous is it for someone to even have your picture on their social media? Does that mean that you're going to get scammed because someone put your picture on social media? I know people very close to me that believe that if I put their picture on my Facebook profile, that they will be scammed. Okay, so we have to have this healthy balance, of that. But you need to know. Just responding just for a moment to what you were saying before.
Oh, I'm loving it.
Okay.
Just waiting.
Now, you actually had an appointment to come in to the show today. So when you saw the receptionist downstairs, or you were waiting down there because you got here early. So obviously they want to know who you were. Okay. Do they have a reason for knowing? Obviously, okay, yes, I have an appointment. Okay, this is kind of like some reception area. It's reasonable to say, okay, I can tell them who I am and that I'm here for the Tucson Tech Talk show at the Radio Business X Radio X studio. So you could have said that, and that would have been enough. But if they asked you for your social security number and your date of birth and things like that, it's just, wait a minute. That's not part of my being here.
Exactly. I would have been like, what, do you work for Facebook or something?
Yeah, exactly. And by the way, actually, we actually had a very interesting conversation about just this morning over the phone. I told you to save it for the show, and I said, okay, about Facebook. Now, Facebook openly admits that, number one, they never fully delete data. So you can take something off, and okay, a little bit. Okay. Yeah, these are the realms of the video age that we live in now. So anyway, so Facebook openly admits that they never delete data. So if you think that you can put a picture on there today and then by mistake put it on there and then take it off, it's in there somewhere. Okay. And what does Facebook do with these things? So what was this website? Now, there are tons of websites that are like this that we're about to talk about that deal with public information. Okay. So if you're looking for someone like a relative, so there's websites like Ancestry. Right. And we have all the social medias. So when you log into Facebook, right, What are the two ways that they can identify you with Facebook?
Your phone number.
Phone number, okay.
Email address, of course.
And email address, right? Phone number and email address. With a phone number or email address, they have now associated all of your information that you've put on Facebook with that phone number and with that email address. Okay? And, you know, Facebook's privacy policies are always changing. Who's to say that they have shared that information with these public, or it's basically the reverse of Facebook, right? So they can say, okay, I have Victoria's phone number. I want to see, you know, what her address is. I want to see this, all this. So it's not that hard for them to cross-share that information, okay, and put that information on some sort of public access where you're saying, okay, I want to do a background check. Background checks are real. Those are legitimate. If you're applying for a job, they're going to do a background check. They want to know if you're a murderer, if you've done time. They want to know, you know, if you're going to be working in the jewelry store. They don't want to hire, you know, someone that's stolen. If you're going to be working around children or the elderly, they want to make sure that you don't have a history of, you know,
Mass murder.
Yeah, or you know, or offender, sex offender. Thank you. So, how are they supposed to do that if there's no way for them to collect the information, right? So that's how social media can be working. Now, this is not official. We didn't get this officially from Facebook or anything. But how does this information get out there? A lot of people volunteer it. So we have to find ways to still live in a social world without divulging, you know, things of our security. Now, back to your case of this person. By the way, did anything happen with? Did they find this person, or did they?
No.
Okay. But I think they're going to come back because he looked way too local. And you know, I might just put a little bit of footage on once we because I think I still have the footage on my on the hard drive that I used, but we want to address the fear. It's the fear of these of getting hacked, okay, that a lot of people have. So how can we address fear? Well, we have to learn more about it. So we have to continue to do shows like this, continue to learn more about it. If you see anything on the news or the internet or any type of coverage of how somebody was hacked, listen to that, okay? Because that could happen to you. And just because it happened to someone in California or happened to someone in Chicago doesn't mean that it can't happen here in Tucson. So we have to, you know, we can't be afraid of things. Now, you coming from an electrical background, there were some people. The video went again. Well, don't worry about it. I think it's still going. Maybe it's just asleep. Okay. Coming from an electrical background, Rod, how did you used to assist people with that maybe would be maybe like afraid of electricity?
Well, you know, the thing is that a lot of times a person would call up and they said, "Oh, my power's out, and you know I'm not going to touch it." I've seen it, a lot of times a person will have something stuck inside the outlet. That's everything, you know, something the plug, something stuck inside the plug, or the light bulb will be broken, and now they're afraid. There's some things that a person can really do on their own. You know, there's a little side tangent, I guess, but there's some things you can do on your own, and I most certainly am the type that are gonna assist you. And if you can do it yourself, or if you're a handyman, there's some things you can do on your own, and that'll save you some money. You know what I mean? And it's similar to the way security is. There's some steps you can do on your own that'll make it so where, you know, you can secure yourself better. There's nothing worse. Like I've been in Tucson, I have noticed the way they wire a house.
Those that actually have a house.
Yes. Well, they will have half the power.
Wait, when you say a house, you mean like a house or a
house? Yeah.
Like a trailer?
No, no. The trailers are better wired. I'm telling you right now.
What?
And the reason is because you know where everything is going. Whereas with the house, because they're using a product called Romex, which is kind of like an extension cord. It's like extension cord running all around your house. And I'm from Chicago, so we're pro pipe. Put everything inside of a pipe. You can add circuits later, that type of thing.
Okay.
This stuff, once you put it in, that's it. If you want to add something, or if they ran to an island in the middle of your kitchen or something, that's it. I've seen people who had they went to get a larger stove or something, more power in the middle of an island. Well, they ran Romex. So now there's no way to get, unless you dig up the floor, there's no way to get that new wire in there. See what I'm saying? So when you go to wire, if you can put it in a pipe, that's better. But what they'll do is they'll run off of what is called a GFCI plug. It's to protect against water and things like that. Well, they'll run a circuit to that. From the back of that plug, they'll run around the house of other plugs all outside or whatever. So now that thing will click off, and those things are temperamental. They'll click off a motor, or you got them plugged, a refrigerator plugged in it, or anything. You trip that thing off. Now half the circuit is off. Now you're chasing around trying to figure out where the main one was. Clicking it. See, I've known a lot of customers who didn't even know that they had a GFCI in a garage or they didn't even know they had it. So they'll call me and say, well, I clicked every one. They all work. I come over there, click. And see, that's a service charge. So I try to, if a person can do something on their own, by all means, try to do that, if it's in a safe manner to do something, just like it's the same as with security. If you can do something on your own. I used to work for AT&T. So I'm kind of like the bad guy. So I know in relation to security that there are, when you put in a security camera, where did you have that camera pointed? Where did you point it?
Oh, that's easy. So the best place. So it depends on really how many cameras you have. The camera system that we put into to Victoria's building, which by the way, if anyone's thinking about knocking her, you're going to be recorded. Okay. So we did 8 cameras, and I look for the corners of the building and I point them inwards. So it's like a crisscross pattern. We crisscross that pattern on each side of the 4. In a perfect box-shaped building, obviously that would be the perfect situation where you cross-eye the corners of the building so that you can get 100% visibility on all 4 sides of the building. It's not always necessary in all buildings, and some houses have little divots, back and forth. When we went to look at your house, your backyard has all kinds of little divots and little hideaway places, but get as much coverage as you can, especially at the doorways. So you definitely want to have your ins and your outs and your most likely break-ins. What they're gonna go for the easiest side usually. So you definitely want to have cameras on your weakest points, if you will.
You're right. Now, see, the thing is, when the big corporation guys come in and they put in a camera in your house, they'll point them inside of your house instead of
outside,
where you would think. They also have access to that.
Wait, when you say the corporate guys, you're talking about like the AT&T.
What I used to do.
And okay,
they were pointing those inside of your house, not outside of your house, inside. So now you got to remember, these are corporations who have, in the fine print, will tell you that they can access that camera now. If you're concerned about security, you have to control how your data is sent out. You also have to control the person who's, installing that and what they can and cannot do. You got to know who that is. Like, it's just like what we were talking about with Facebook. You've got to know that image that you're uploading is not, they claim that it's not theirs. But if it's not theirs, then give it back to me. But that's not going to happen. The fact is, they're going to take this. So when you have a business on social media, what you want is to have an account that's not seen to control the page that is seen. See what I mean? So now, because in order to have a page on Facebook, they won't allow you to just have the page without having a personal account for some reason. So you have an account, a throwaway one that's not seen and never posts, that can't ever be banned or can't ever be blocked or anything. Like, you never post at all with that one. But because it's just solely there for the purpose of this business page. See, because what can end up happening is there's a lot of negative things that can happen while you're on social media. You post it over here and they close your account because you said, or somebody didn't like something you said and they reported you, and these are bots controlling it all. Now down goes your page and your business page. And I've seen that. So that's
okay. Well, that's a pretty good tip, because where you can have multiple accounts and one account serves another. And this is just a more modern way of doing it, because even from an accounting perspective, if you were to open up a new business, you would go to the account, you would go to the bank, and you would open up 3 accounts. Okay. And each account would serve the other in some special way. One would be just for incoming, one would be just for outgoing. And if you wrote a check, then the money goes into that check and it clears out of that account. And that brings that account back to near zero, because that account should always be balanced. So you're using accounts for specific purposes. But it can get very, very complicated, but it's safer. It's more complicated, but it's much, much safer for doing it that way. And for someone like me who's running multiple businesses, I have to be extra careful. of doing that. But some of these things, a lot of these are common issues that business people have. A lot of, and sometimes these. Sometimes I run into them all the time with business owners myself. I can see how many mistakes they've made in in setting up their computer. I'm like, oh my goodness, everything is running on the hard drive of this computer, and that's your whole business. What if that hard drive ever crashes?
And you're out.
And they have no backup, no nothing. I'm like, this is a time bomb. It's just waiting to happen. It's not going to happen today. It may not even happen this year, but it's a bomb, and it's gonna be terrible when it happens. So
the monsoon coming. That's it.
Have some sort of backup plan, some sort of contingency plan. Thank you very much, Rod, for sharing that with us. Now tell us about this. Some of the common issues that people have in Tucson, because you had mentioned some of the things that people do in Chicago, but what are some of the common, say, electrical problems that people would have in Tucson?
That's
both houses and trailers.
Oh, now I guess trailers, sometimes a person can try to get more power than they're really supposed to have in that trailer. And some trailers also, they don't want you drilling out of the bottom, drilling down into the floor of the trailer, because that causes, those are sealed. They're kind of like a sealed environment. So then all of a sudden you drill down through the floor, and now you open up that trailer to whatever, rodents or whatever.
Yeah, that's true.
Of that nature. But the biggest problem, and also another thing is, like in an attic, there could be anything in that attic. There could be ants, something eat into the line, and you're done. So there's, people will put things inside the attic, hit one of the wires, you're done. There's lots of small things that in Tucson that can affect it. The heat, of course, using the wrong type of Romex outside. That's another thing.
Now, what is Romex again?
Romex is like a rope almost. It's like a flat rope with a plastic sheathing, and some is white, some is gray, some is like orange, and there's different ones for different things. Like there's direct burial, the type that you can bury into the ground. So like I think you mentioned earlier, ma'am, that you wanted to have power going from one spot to the next, and that can be dug in the ground. Difficult to do it, Tucson Caliche, but
yeah,
but it can be
is
done.
Is there I happen to know a little bit about the job that she's referring to. It's 2 separate buildings, and so can an electric account be shared between 2 buildings, or does that have to be a one account? Or
no, it can be shared. I mean, if it's the same property, so
yeah, but I have 2 different meters.
Oh, there are 2 different meters.
People can do that as well. I mean, you can have 12. So, you might want to have a separate bill for a certain reason. So that,
or if you have an old kid that won't move out of your house, you can
millennial.
You can set their bedroom to a separate meter.
Yeah, there you go. And here's your bill, by the way. Why is it more than mine? Oh, listen, just pay the bill.
Okay. Well, that's possible. But you know what? I putting a new meter in, that's actually pretty expensive. It's like $500, right?
No, more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just did that. It was like $1,800.
$1,800 to put a meter in?
Yeah, I'm half of that. I'm like $900.
You're $900. Okay. All right. Well, then. Okay.
Like
Nice.
some people will, because I'm
Commercial.
usually labor and the person gets a price, but that to get the meter and that stuff, that's not as bad as it seems. But although the meters out here in Arizona, they're outside, so that's a little different. So now you gotta get a certain type of meter as opposed to ones that like it's a lot of houses they have like an old meter, and 4 circuits and so. But
well, when we had our mobile home installed, they wanted to put a new meter on an old pole, an old wooden pole, and so some inspector came and said, "No, you can't.
Poles.
You need a new pole, right?" So we had to go and splurge on a new pole. How much do these poles go for? Apparently, I'm in the wrong business. I should be selling poles, wood poles. Okay, yeah, $300, $600, $1,000 for a wood pole. You can grow these things.
Just wait for the tree,
Yeah, it's a tree. It's a trunk of a tall tree. Okay, I could do that.
And how much is a pole?
A pole? The ones that we were looking for rock bottom price. We called about 10 different places, and the lowest price we found was $300 for just the pole. That's not to install the pole. That's just to have a pole dropped off to your house. And they said that the pole had to be 6 feet. You had to dig
the ground
6 feet down.
That's bad. That's to me. There's certain things that are just kind of bad, and that's one of them. Installing that part because you're digging way down. That's not good. And then depending on if it's 200 degrees outside, there's some. That one is not good. So
Always fascinating and always ahead of the game. The computer doctor is Aaron Moss on Tucson Business RadioX.
We are talking with our guests, Victoria Gonzalez and Rod Brown, and some of the electrical problems that the two of them are familiar with through construction. And this show is taking a very interesting turn into we're talking about security and we're talking about electrical. We're also talking a little bit about construction. So we'll continue in this conversation. We are broadcasting from the Tucson Business RadioX studio in the Stewart Title building on Broadway, and continuing in our discussion about security, both for our home and both online. For a moment ago, we were talking about the placement of cameras and how important it is to have these high definition cameras in places where you would expect them to be. Okay, so many times, banks, for example. Now, on a brand new security camera system, obviously you're going to have the highest definition, the highest quality, the sharpest picture, right at that time, like when they're first installed. But if it's been there for 10 years, 20 years, and some of these banks are really, really old, okay, sometimes they may need to be upgraded. Sometimes the hard drive that's saving the information. How many times has somebody has a robbery taken place? Is it, there are cameras there, but they're not working? That actually happens a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. You can see that the cameras are working. So sometimes I'll go around and start trolling some businesses. I'll see that they have cameras, and I can just look at them, and I know that they're more than 10, 20 years old. I say, are those cameras working? I have to kind of tell them who I am, because if they're not working, then I can be trolling them to rob them. But I'm not. I'm trolling them to to help them. So Computer Doctor of Tucson, we actually do these installs. So we've done it for Victoria here. We've done it for several businesses in town. So just give us a call if you're interested in that. Have you actually? By the way, electricians. Since we're just running cable for video or audio video is the same skill, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what.
Well, working at AT&T, I was able to do that anyway, though. So there was I was running data lines and cable lines and stuff for them up in Chicago. So I mean, and I've also installed some cameras, but probably nowhere close to many as you have. So I'm not at your level.
A camera install is really just one camera for like an AT&T guy, right? Or
they ran around and did it right, but you don't want rather to call you than call it Comcast. I mean, you don't want them in your life if you don't have to have them controlling your. I remember there was one man. It's kind of funny. I got done with the whole install. It took some time, and the guy says, and I'm explaining to him about the voicemail, and I'm a young man, and I'm gonna impress this older guy with this voicemail setup we got, and he's like, wait a minute, young man. I like my machine I have here. He had with the little cassette, and I'm just going to roll right over this. I'm just really impressed him. I said, well, you can do this, you can do that. Hey, you can do everything, Mm-hmm. He was like, where is this recording? I said, well, it's on a server. In other words, they have it, right? I'm like, well, yeah. So if they want to listen to it, they can, right? Well, I guess they could. So then he says, what's on this cassette? Only I can see it, right? And if somebody wanted to have it, they would have to get some kind of a warrant, wouldn't they? I was like, well, yeah. We have actually allowed our information. There's a site called mylife.com. You can Google your name and find everything about you, where you've lived when you were a teenager, because of some of the stuff that social media has done. So we really, and if you notice, police officers and people like that, or judges or lawyers, they're not on those. You can actually erase your digital footprint if you know how to do that. So part of your security is also, like Oprah Winfrey, for instance. When you look up Oprah Winfrey, you just see Oprah Winfrey. You don't see her personal life, any sisters or brothers, or see,
that's because they use aliases.
Yeah, that's another thing. Mm-hmm. That's another thing.
They have their show name. They have, like, on this show, you have your show name. Mm-hmm. You're Rod Brown. Mm-hmm. You're Electric Rod. Mm-hmm. Okay, but in order for someone to even get access to your official public record, which is very possible to do, and it's there for all of our protection, exactly. Because there are times where we do want to look into someone's history. For our own protection, if there are parents out there that are leaving their children with a babysitter, you want to be able to do a background check on them. You want to be able to see what's going on in your house when you're out and the babysitter's at home. You want to see if they're knocking your kids around. Exactly. So there's a certain level of security that people want. So but it's there. But what sometimes happens is people exploit it. Mm-hmm. Okay, people use that as a reason to, or they use it to their advantage. So they may say, yes, I know Victoria Gonzalez, or I know Rod Brown, or I know Aaron Moss. Let me see what other information I can get. And then they can figure out passwords. They can log you into, they can figure out your login to Amazon. That can unlock other credit cards maybe that you've used, last 4. Mm-hmm. Okay. One of these other tips that I read in Jenny Rogers' book was to always protect your last 4. They don't even need your entire credit card number anymore. They don't need your entire Social Security number anymore, because the first 6 digits, the first 5 digits, you can find that out. Okay, it's not that hard. If you know what their name is, okay, approximately what city or even what hospital they were born in, okay, and the date of their birth, okay, and if you're having a birthday party or whatever, and people know what your birthday is, it's not that hard to figure out, the first 5 digits, okay? Yes, first 5 digits. Yeah, first 5 digits, and then the other 4, they may be able to pick up from you in passing. So you're Victoria, you're looking at me like, no. See that hopefully that should get us to start thinking, okay, have I been breached that way? Or sometimes there was even a case at Starbucks where she used her credit card at the drive-thru. She gave her credit card over to the young lady that was in the window. The young lady took the card and with her cell phone snapped a picture of the credit card, then scanned it through the machine and handed it right back to her. It took less than a second for that to happen. Mm-hmm. Okay? So even when you're using your card in establishments, okay, even you think that people where you think you can trust someone to not steal your identity, okay, that's not to say that their employees might not. Now, that was not something that was, coordinated through, Starbucks, but that was a bad employee. Mm-hmm. Okay, so there was another guest that we were going to have. He took him and his family over to a hotel in Mexico, and I think he received a phone call over the phone from somebody, okay, claiming to be the front desk, and they needed another credit card number because they said the credit card number that he signed under was failing, and they needed another credit card number. By the time he got back, he had almost all of the accounts that he had on any website was hacked. They were able to get into his Amazon. They were able to get into his email, and once they have access into your email, then they can reset passwords and get the reset password links into the email account that they've already had. And once the email account is the worst thing. If somebody held up a gun to you saying, "Look, you have to give up one of your accounts," the email account is the absolute last thing that you want to have hacked. Okay, because that allows other things to be hacked. That is like the master key.
But your email account is in your business cards, it's everywhere.
Well, it's
the
not.
Password.
Well, you don't publish your email password on your business cards.
No, but you want to protect your password on the
You definitely want to protect your password. So what are some ways that we can protect our email password? Especially, so a lot of the times the breaches, where do you think the breaches of the email password actually happen? Okay, they happen when people use the same password on multiple sites. Okay, you know that password? Oh, by the way, most of the people use the same password on multiple things. So I used to circulate maybe about 4 or 5 passwords, and these same 4 and 5 passwords were the same thing on any account. If I didn't access an account for several years and it asked me for the password, I said, well, it's got to be one of these 5, and I would try all 5, and if they didn't work, then I would hit the thing. But here's the thing. If you try all 5 passwords and it's an illegitimate site, if somebody with wrong intentions now know your top 5 passwords, and now they can go around and try those same exact passwords on other accounts with your same email, okay, hoping that they'll come across something valuable that they can exploit.
Let me add something. There's a website called WordPress, and a lot of people use WordPress. It's a free thing. You can get your website up in WordPress, and it looks like regular websites. You can make it look like a regular website, but it's actually a WordPress powered website. When you sign in to a WordPress website, the webmaster can see your email. He can see your IP address. A local person, any local guy can open up a WordPress website. It's, it's free or next to free. So that's one thing. Your email may have your name, your kid's name on it because you try to be cute, you get something. Another one is your children online. If they can't access you because, hey, I'm strong, I'm tough, but now your kids are downloading free, games, and they're inputting. The person who has that app can see the information. They can see your phone number. They can see all the other stuff, and you let the kid use a phone. See now, since they got the access to the phone, they got all your phone friends. People online have said, well, I'm getting these weird friend requests. Well, I just deleted it. It's too late. The point was to exploit like weeds. So you really got to think, do I really have to be out there like that? Or is it something free? There's a reason why I'm giving you something for free. I'm not, And if you really want to be secure, you're going to have to stand behind, just like a celebrity would, behind some kind of a sheet or something, stopping you separating you from the business, just like you would in a limited liability company or something. You got to look at it like
what
that.
What do you do if you already been public and you've been mixed in and you've been, I mean, after my identity theft, the detective told me you need to stop. But how do you protect yourselves if you are ready?
He said that the detective told you that you had to stop what exactly?
Stop being so public.
Stop being so public.
I'm here doing this, doing live videos, all of that stuff.
Well, you know,
But what if you already
there's
been
people
doing
who
that for
do
years?
that for you. Because I myself, I mean, as a musician, I was very popular in Chicago for Steppers music. And I didn't realize that my music was being used in all of these other things. And the guy says, "Hey, listen, what would you really want to do?" I said, "Well, it'd be nice to have my music in a club. That'd be nice." He's like, "What, are you crazy?" I'm like, "What? You're already in clubs. They just don't know who you are." And so the thing is, my name had already projected way out there. If you already have, let your feathers fly out there now, the thing is, a lot of people will have someone else handling their social media, We see now that a lot of politicians are talking on their own, aren't they? And they're like, "Will you please stop talking on your own, because let us handle that. We'll pretend it to be you. We'll have an agency pretend that it's right, the things that's going to make it flatter you, not to make you look bad." So what it is the real you backs behind this curtaincy. Then let some, an agency or an advertising agency or somebody, this close to you who can, who knows a lot of social media, or maybe a son or a daughter or something. Let them do that, and they never talk the real you. The real you is never talking. See what I'm saying? It's this company talking, interacting with people. And see, I can unplug that company, I see. But you got to fade away from, and the internet is very fickle. The people themselves will forget you quickly, if you're not out there all the time. You know how that is. So if you don't post a selfie, they won't know you. So they'll move on to the next person. So you can fade back. It's just, you want a presence, but now that presence has got to be done in a professional, non-self-generated way. And now we're talking.
All right. So even if so I guess that answers your question, right? A little bit. Thank you, Rod, for doing that. But even for those of us that have already made a name for us, it's not too late. Excuse me, to actually have an outside company do it. And by the way, there's tons of companies that'll do this for you. Okay, they're popping up everywhere. Everybody, almost any millennial will do it. How many millennials do you know? Okay, any millennial, you don't even have to train them. Okay, just tell me you want to take it. Yeah, just tell me you want to take care of your social media. Yeah, I know how to do it. Yeah. Okay, and you call them back in an hour. Yeah, I got 10 accounts set up for you. Yeah, I got you the Instagram, the Facebook, and the Snapchat, and then I don't know what all the. There's about 100 different social. No, there's at least 100 different social medias out there, of what technically is social media, because there's YouTube is technically social media, And it's becoming something that's budding and something that's always getting bigger. When we continue to talk about the where technology is going in the future, which is something that we always like to cover on the show, things are not going to be getting easier, okay? Because people with malicious intent, they don't go away. Okay, they're always trying. They're always on the next cuff, always trying to figure out what the next what the next exploitation is actually going to be. So, what do you think, Rod? Where's the next exploitation might be? And then I'll tell you what someone over at Google said.
Let me say this: the intent is to have you sign in with fingerprints, facial recognition, that sort of thing. The intent, and then the giant corporation, has that information. Now, of course, China has used that to a greater extent. The DNA test situation. Well, we just upload DNA because I want to know where I'm from. I already know where I'm from, but For some reason, I'm going to tell them. Well, so now, there's agencies who've exploited that information. So we really got to be careful in this matter.
By the way, there was an episode of, there's this TV show, I love it. It's a Canadian show called, I can't think of the name of it now, but it does these investigative reports on these things. And they did an investigative report on the history, on like these history websites, the history tree. What's the name? Ancestry. Thank you. Right. The Ancestry type
family
websites,
tree
family tree. So they actually did a thing where you sign up for this and they send you this DNA collection package. You're supposed to spit up to the line, right, in this cup, and then you send it back to them. And then from the spit, they're able to determine where you're from. Okay, so but they actually did some investigation, and they wanted to know how they're able to determine where the spit came from, and just to throw a monkey wrench, they had confirmed twins. I mean, these are identical twins. They both set up different accounts, and they both got these things back, right? And they both spit in these cups. They showed footage of them, and then they mailed it out, and then they showed what it came back as. One kid, they were like from opposite ends of the world, So it was like, okay, so what technology are you using to use it? Or are they even storing this information? Are they using this as future DNA information for anything? But it's scary. Here is what Google is said. This is I subscribe to one of these it's a public address Google videos, and they were asked a question. This was answered by a gentleman that works at Google, and the question was, "What is the future threats of internet security?" And that is, and this is actually pretty scary, and that is the hacking of servers, server hacking. So, going back to your illustration about the AT&T old guy that didn't feel comfortable about having his voicemail on those little cassette tapes, to having his voicemail stored on some server where anyone really can listen to it who knows how to get into that thing, including the phone company. Who knows what they're going to do with that information, right? But could you imagine if someone were to hack that server?
How would they able to hack the bureau, Expedia, or one of they hacked their servers?
Yes, they have.
And this is who's supposed to hold all our information.
But you see, security is based on a unified level of security. Every part of that security, every piece of it has to meet the same standard of secureness. For example, this happened maybe about 3 months ago. A Facebook employee, okay, that worked in the accounting department, okay, he had his car broken into, and inside of his knapsack in the back seat of his car was a hard drive that contained the last 4 digits of the Social Security numbers, banking information, because he was part of the payroll of Facebook employees, and that information was unencrypted on a hard drive just sitting in his car. And it just so happened that his car just happened to be ransacked by somebody, and they were able to get a hold of that disk. Okay, he didn't even have to hack the server, but it was just a crime of opportunity. It would just happen to be there. So any disks that are out there floating around have to have some sort of security on them, and that's just an example of how security needs to go all the way through, in general, so that we can continue. Okay, I almost lost my video there, but that just goes to show how how important it is to have universal security throughout your entire system, where one side is more secure than the other side. It's just like securing a building. Okay, you can have a large, thick wall, of steel on one side, and then you have like a then you have like a 1 millimeter thick glass on the other side. Obviously, they're going to get in through that side. They're going to always attack the weakest spot. So you have to know where the weak spots are in your entire security. And that's one of the biggest threats of what's affecting us in the future today. And that is the security of servers.
Wow. I mean, can you imagine going to the restaurant? You will show up to the restaurant and you say, hey, here's my card. And then the lady comes back and says, where's my card? Oh, well, I lost it. You lost it. Well, I'll come back next week. And you show up again with a new card. You give the lady a card. She comes back. Oh, I lost it. You lost my card. Yeah. I'm seeing charges on the card, though. I don't know. Obviously, we wouldn't trust brick and mortar with some of the behaviors that some of these companies, just like what you said. You can't even contact these people. They use a machine to make sure you're not a bot. They'll say, click this box. How many cars do you see? Click the button to make sure you're not a robot. They're robots, though. You can't even call them if there's a problem. They won't even speak to you. Mm-hmm. Now, in order to get a customer service in Yahoo, in YouTube, for example, you have to have so many followers. That's why they say subscribe. Because if you get 100,000 followers, then they'll give you a small level of real customer service. If you jump into 1 million, well, now they give you a regular customer. That's how they do. But before that, you're just going to get a bot, and some questions you got to answer. That's it. And press a button. That's it. So we really got to control our own security ourselves, because you're letting or get a company like my man here, because if you let these big companies who are floating above us control your try to control your, why would you want such a man? You can't even call that man. Mm-hmm. So that's but you can call him.
Yes, you can call
How
me.
would people call you? See how that plug? I put that plug right in there.
Absolutely.
Yes, the plug went right in there, didn't it?
Well, everyone knows me. I'm the Aaron Moss with the Computer Doctor of Tucson. And we are actually coming close to the end of our broadcast now. You can call me at Computer Doctor of Tucson at 520-261-5508. We always welcome your comments and questions about the show. Rod, why don't you tell people how they can get a hold of you? And by the way, we're going to be posting your information on the show notes. So you have a phone number and an email.
Yep, 520-500-2127.
And so you do jingle writing. You're a karaoke maker, musician, producer, and he can do all that while he's rewiring your house.
Yes, at the same time.
Yeah.
That's talent. I'm telling you right now.
Okay, Victoria, we didn't get too much to tell us more about all of the other services that your beauty salon offers. But if people want to find out, we're going to be putting your information on the show notes. She has about 4 social medias, Gmail and Facebook and Instagram. Also her website, www.vgbeautylounge.com. And if you come by her, you might see me getting my hair cut there from time to time. And I don't know, we may have a little bit of a discussion. Okay. Well, we want to thank everyone for being on the show today. If you liked any content that you heard on the show today, please send us a message on our show board or text us or call us at 520-261-5508. And we would love to hear from you. Remember that the world is getting more and more tech, and so should you. My name is Aaron Moss, your host, and this has been Tucson Tech Talk, broadcasting from the Tucson Business RadioX studio on Broadway, and we wish you good technology.